And we start with a Fox News alert this Friday night. Welcome to Hannity. Tonight, while Democrats devote almost all of their time and energy to the riot at the Capitol on January the 6th, 18 months ago, well, America's economy is literally coming apart at the seams, and frankly, so is the president. Take a look.
Well, on climate change, we've actually made some real moves. I mean, we have, you know, 1 in 7 of all the changes that have taken place in terms of solar, wind, and wind pumps, and pumps and have occurred in the last 18 months. We've moved.
That was Joe Biden's first sit-down interview in 118 days, and despite a flurry of, well, nothing but softball questions from a Democratic activist pretending to be a late-night comedian, Biden still struggled to communicate. He could barely get words out. He had no answers for the economic problems we are facing, and it got a lot worse today. Now, inflation went up yet again to an all-new 41-year high, 8.6%. Now, the cost of food is up 10.1%. The cost of housing, 7%. Rent is up in some places as high as 20%. Household energy bills, they're up a whopping 19.1%. And meanwhile, the average cost for a gallon of gas has now more than doubled since Biden took over as president, now over $5 a gallon nationwide for the first time ever. Remember, when he first became president on day one, you were only paying $2.39 for a gallon of gasoline. Now, the price at the pump is so high that deputies from one Michigan county, they're now reportedly dealing with non-urgent calls remotely over the phone because they can't afford to fuel a patrol car. Now, to make matters even worse, we have major supply shortages. That continues to plague the country. Hot sauce, by the way, that's the latest product that might soon go missing from store shelves. And in order to cope with the shortages and inflation and high gas prices, well, now manufacturers, look at this, and I don't really blame them, they have to shrink the size of their packages. In other words, not only do you pay more, but you're getting less for what you pay for. The AP is now calling it shrinkflation. And don't worry, because Joe Biden knows just who to blame. International shipping companies. Let's blame them, or Putin, or Trump, or Fox News, or Sean Hannity. Take a look.
I have to admit to you, a lot of us elected officials have been in office for a while. Every once in a while, something you learn makes you viscerally angry. Like if you had the person in front of you, you'd want to pop them. No, I really mean it. There are nine major ocean line shipping companies that ship from Asia to the United States. 9. They form 3 consortia. These companies have raised their prices by as much as 1,000%.
Wait a minute. The guy that gets blown over multiple times climbing up the steps to Air Force One always wants to punch somebody. He gets blown over by the wind. Anyway, Joe went on to blame Florida Senator Rick Scott, congressional Republicans. He blamed ExxonMobil. He previously was blaming Vladimir Putin, big meat conglomerates, COVID-19, greedy corporations, people with diabetes, climate change billionaires, and when all else fails, just blame Donald Trump. Now, naturally, Biden himself has not accepted any of the share of responsibility or blame. Forget the trillions of dollars in new spending, the artificial reduction of the world's oil and gas supply because of his, well, adherence to climate alarmism and that religious cult. And according to Joe, that has nothing to do with gas prices or inflation. It has everything to do with it. Now, meanwhile, Biden's old friend from the Senate, Claire McCaskill, well, she has her own, well, to be honest, batty, insane conspiracy theory about gas prices and inflation that involves Mitch McConnell and January 6th. You can't make this up either. Take a look.
I am 100% sure Mitch McConnell was tuned in. What's he thinking tonight? He's no friend of Donald Trump's.
No, he can't stand Donald Trump.
Hates him.
He's worried about Donald Trump's candidates winning Republican primaries, which makes it harder for him to take back power. But you know what he's thinking tonight? Boy, I sure hope gas prices stay really high. That's what he's thinking, because he really wants to distract the American public from the reality of what we saw tonight. I think he's hoping that the high gas prices and the inflationary pressures in our economy will be enough to make people forget and just want to change out the Democrats.
That's sick.
Well, it's politics.
Isn't this great to see? Claire McCaskill, she's a perfect fit for NBC News because that's all they peddle are conspiracy theories. Now, in reality, the GOP is the only party willing to take the logical steps that would lower prices at the pump, which would help ease inflationary pressure by increasing domestic production of oil and gas, building the Keystone XL pipeline to increase the oil and gas supply from Canada. According to the Alberta Premier, if we had finished it, we would be getting every single day 900,000 barrels of Canadian oil every day. And that would lower the price of a gallon of gasoline. And by the way, Joe also needs to end the restrictions that he has put on the energy sector of our economy. Now, these are concrete steps that Biden could take right now, but it's not going to happen. He is refusing to change course at all. He is beholden to the radical new Green Deal socialists. So now, from the guy that brought you America's winter of severe illness and death, buckle up for Biden's summer of stagflation and suffering. Now, I'll be honest, I don't want to bring you bad news every night, but that's all there is with the economy, because the president is in way over his head, or whoever is really in charge. Now, at this point, his presidency is an abject failure, worse than even Jimmy Carter. I didn't think I'd see that in my lifetime. Our country would absolutely be better off if he retired early. Honestly, I don't know what's keeping him in the White House. He has plenty of money. He loves his beach house in Delaware. We know he loves that. He spends most of his time there. So, for God's sake, Joe, to use your words, for the good of the country, maybe let the adults take charge once again. Let somebody more competent run the country. Let somebody that's not struggling cognitively. Let someone maybe who understands the free market, capitalism, businesses, the supply chain. Someone who has the courage to actually stand up to the socialist cult, climate alarmist cult in your party that you're a part of. Now, sadly, I don't think there's a Democrat left in Washington, with maybe the exception of Joe Manchin, who would fit that description. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.